One of these weeks, folks, we're going to report some better news for you. But for right now, another one-score loss. Where have we heard that before? Another one-score loss for the Huskers, 30-23 in the Twin Cities against those Minnesota Golden Gophers. Welcome to our Nebraska live show here. Brought to you by the voice of college football, but here's the guy that really makes it happen, because otherwise we don't have a show. You got Greg Peterson on the line from Husker Online. We hope all of you out there appreciate Greg being here to talk some Huskers football with us. Well, Greg, another one-score loss.
Yeah, thank God for the bye week. Yeah, it's starting to be a broken record here. One score loss, one score loss, one score loss. Sooner or later they got to get over the hump, but that was a bad one. That was a real bad one to swallow. And things aren't right around here right now. I mean, all that talk about Scott Frost, chopping block and stuff. It's ramped up a lot now since Saturday. I can tell you that. And Trev Alberts is definitely not happy right now. And we haven't heard anything. It's bye week, but we will hear from Coach Frost. Is actually speaking tomorrow morning after practice, and it's a very early one, about 9:15 Central Time. We'll be hearing from Coach Frost, which is it goes with the pattern of years past during bye weeks that usually the head coach does talk on a Wednesday, but we kind of speculated, why even bring him out right now? There's nothing to really talk about except for to field questions about how you're going to fix things that are wrong. Same questions that you hear over and over again. So I'm kind of shocked that that Coach Frost is actually talking tomorrow. But obviously something's wrong, and they just blew a huge opportunity there against Minnesota. And hey, hats off to Minnesota. They had a great game plan and they executed it. They knocked Nebraska on their asses there that whole first half. I mean, Minnesota dominated that. They dominated the time of possession of the game and basically took Nebraska out of anything, and put up a 21-9 lead going into halftime. And Nebraska, they're just when they get behind in the first half, they have so much trouble having to crawl back into games, and that's kind of the way this one ended up. You can blame bad calls there in the fourth quarter, or bad play calling, but it is what it is. Minnesota dominated that game, that whole first half. I mean, Nebraska goes 3-and-out at the kickoff, and Nebraska's been, when they win the coin toss, they've been deferring to the second half, and they like putting their defense out there on the field. And that didn't happen this week. And, the offense went out there and just laid an egg, went 3-and-out. And then Minnesota just marched down the field with a real big time-consuming drive. Ate up most of the first quarter with that drive and capitalized on that. And, you got to give credit to Morgan and Augment Bell, man. I mean, those guys had a career day, quarterback wide receiver combo at Minnesota. So, don't take anything away from Minnesota. They had a great game plan, and PJ Fleck knows what he's doing when he plays Nebraska. I'll say that. And then Nebraska has to play catch up there in the second half, and things don't fall their way. And here we are, 3-5. Not a very good looking record right now, and at this point of the season, and what you have left on your schedule, a bowl game's now looking like it's a pipe dream at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah, they'd have to go on a major run to make that happen. And for as close as they're playing these games, it's just starting to become a math equation that's difficult to squeeze them into a bowl game unless they pull off some pretty major upsets, sitting at 3-5. So they're going to have to go 3-1 down the stretch against a really rugged schedule, and suddenly that Purdue game becomes even more
after
daunting
what they
after,
just did. Yeah, I mean,
after what they showed us on
who
Saturday.
thought that Purdue was going to go beat Iowa? I mean, nobody thought that. So yeah.
No,
So I mean, this would be the year. I mean, like we've said all year. I mean, if Nebraska, this would be the year to take the West, but that's not going to happen, obviously.
yeah. Even I said a couple of weeks ago that this Minnesota Purdue back-to-back would be a must-win situation
We said that
because
last
of the
week. Yeah, we said that last week. You got to win those two games to be in the hunt, and yeah, it just didn't happen. And things are bleak right now around here, and I can't talk about the players, the team per se, because we haven't had any contact with them since the game. It's a bye week, so everybody's basically on vacation right now, and we will hear from Coach Frost in the morning on Wednesday morning tomorrow, very early after practice. It's a very early practice or ending practice, so it's not much. I think this is the first practice they've had all week since Saturday, and pretty much is be kind of a walkthrough type of a thing, and giving the guys as much time off. But yeah, we'll hear from Coach Frost, and he's going to take those questions about what went wrong, and the same old things about what is wrong and how are we fixing it. And so I really don't expect any kind of new information coming out at tomorrow's press conference. Absolutely. I mean, I think Coach Frost will be there for about 5 or 6 minutes tops, and I don't think anybody else will have any questions for him, and that'll be it. So yeah, we just wait it out and go into next week and get ready to play Purdue, a Purdue team that just shocked the world and beat number 2.
Yeah, and to extend on your point on Minnesota's efficiency, mostly in the first half, but throughout the game, Tanner Morgan,
No, he's great.
Well, he had a great 2019 season, 30 touchdowns, 6 picks. He had one of the best ratios in the country, and then he hasn't been the same guy since. He came into the game only completing 52% of his passes. Then he hits on 20 of 24 in this game.
Yeah, he was surgical. What I saw, I mean, he was picking Nebraska's defense apart. He knew where he was going with it, and at times Nebraska looked confused because Minnesota does have that scheme where they fool you. Basically, they run the same formations, but then they run a lot of different things out of those formations, and they had Nebraska's defense on their heels. Nebraska's defense didn't know really where the ball was going, and especially in the run defense. I mean, there was a lot of missed tackles and stuff, but Tanner Morgan, I mean, he was picking and choosing his spots right there, and his, I mentioned Augment Bell. My God, he had a career day, unbelievable day, and it kind of seems like Nebraska always kind of gives up something like that. All of a sudden, makes a guy an NFL star when they play against Nebraska, and that was another one of those days. And, I mean, Minnesota, their game plan was spot on. They knew what they were going to do, and they didn't shy away from it. And yeah, they took it to Nebraska, and that first, like I said, that first half is they went out in such a devastating fashion, basically putting 21 points on the board and keeping Nebraska's defense out there on the field for so long. And then Nebraska has to go hurry up, and you know what? Even watching it, Nebraska almost looks better when they go hurry up anyway. I mean, they went down there and they scored that first touchdown in the first half pretty efficiently, and Ramir Johnson had a nice run in there, and Ramir Johnson had a nice game, barring being held up on a lot of those inside runs, but he had some special plays there. And Adrian Martinez, really, that's kind of the head scratcher to me, because he was very inaccurate as well. He looked like he was off of his game. Like Minnesota's defense had him confused. Adrian Martinez that I haven't seen like this all year. And so, like I said, my point is hats off to Minnesota's game plan. PJ Fleck and his staff spot on that, and they deserve to win that game.
Like to invite everybody here in the live chat to leave your comments and questions. Of course, Greg and I will run through them, mostly Greg, but myself as well, depending on what you got for us. I did find 3 consecutive series to be rather strange, peculiar for Nebraska in the fourth quarter. So they're down 21-16 at this point. And I want to make sure that I get this straight, of course, and I'm accurate. So they go on this 46-yard.
Before you even go into it, there's just a lack of hey, we got to get this in there. I don't know. I mean, you're standing around, you're looking around for coaches to tell you something to do. I mean, get in there. There's just, I don't know. But go ahead. Sorry, I'm just venting here.
No worries. This is the time to vent, and Husker fans, vent in the live chat. This is the time. So they're down 21-16, and my screen page keeps shifting on me, so I'm trying to locate it. They're down 21-16. This is early fourth quarter. So first drive, they move it down the field, and this is the one drive in which they've got a 1st and goal at the Minnesota 5. So they got 4 plays to get it in. If they're going to go for the touchdown, they got 4 plays to get it in, and they run it 3 straight times, twice with Martinez, once with Ramir Johnson, and they get to the 1. So they got a 4th and goal at the 1, and then they bring in Jacques Yant, which I just thought that was a bit strange to bring the freshman in, and Ramir Johnson was the guy that had been running for all the yardage, and they ran pretty much the same running play just over and over and over 4 consecutive times inside the 5, and they didn't get in. So they get stopped at the 1.
So then you bring in your power guy when it's 4th down. Yeah, that makes no sense.
So then the defense comes in and does its job. They hold Minnesota right there. Yep. So even though that's a wasted drive, if you can hold them right there, they're at the 2-yard line. They punt back. So Nebraska's in great shape to drive again. So bam, Adrian hits Austin Allen for 40 yards right out of the gate. First play of that drive. They get down to the Minnesota 15. So they just hit him with a huge pass play to start the drive down to the 15. So like that, they're almost right down where they were before. But then they go for a couple more runs. And then on 3rd and 12, they run the ball. So they run the ball on 3rd and 12. Yeah. So my thought there is that if you're going to run the ball on 3rd and 12, how many times do you run for a first down on 3rd and 12? Like 5% of the time, maybe. Right. So aren't you setting yourself up for a short 4th down conversion to try to convert? So Yant gets 8 yards on 3rd and 12, which sets up 4th and 4. But they didn't go for it. They kicked a field goal and they missed it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're thinking there.
So then the next drive, Greg, the next drive, they come driving down the field again. They have to start at their own 16. They come driving down the field again. They start at their own 16. This time they get to 4th and 10. And they go for it. They didn't go for 4th and 4 the drive before, but they went for 4th and 10. Yeah. And they throw an incomplete pass. 4th and 10.
Yeah.
So,
hey, like I said, to my point earlier, Minnesota had them off of their game completely. I think Minnesota, not just on offense, but defensively, if you look at the first play of the game, Nebraska tries to run that option. Minnesota was all over that. And they played that the whole game. I mean, Ramir Johnson might have got away with 1 or 2 on that option play, but Minnesota was all over it. And the scheme that they had defensively had Nebraska just off of their game just as much as their offensive scheme did. So, yeah, back and forth. I'm telling you, PJ Fleck and his staff, excellent game plan. They deserved to win that game, hands down. Nebraska had no chance.
Here's an odd situation that people will have to digest. Minnesota actually controls the division because they beat Purdue.
Right. Yeah. And they still got Iowa still.
Yeah, they still have a lot of football to play. So when I say they control the division, but technically they do. They're the only team that can control it because they beat Purdue head to head. So there's a number of people commenting in the live chat just about how much this is going to affect recruiting. And then Scott Frost may lose his job, not because of the lack of confidence that he can turn it around, but that the recruits may fall off so quickly that they need to change.
That's a very valid point, and I know right now Trev Alberts is at a crossroads. He's got a lot of decisions to make right now, and obviously, nothing's going to happen during the season. But coming up after the year's over with, there's definitely going to be some changes being made because that's just the way things work. But yes, recruiting wise, it's kind of funny, because I was just in Reno, Nevada Friday night covering Ashton Hayes, the running back commit. And, I mean, great kid, totally 100% committed, solid in Nebraska. But then, I see message board posts on our boards on Husker Online, about people wondering, how firmly is he committed if Scott Frost gets fired, or how firmly committed is if Scott Frost gets retained. So it's hard right now to gauge. I mean, you saw a big momentum swing where Nebraska was doing really good up until this Saturday, and now things have completely done a complete 180. And now your season outlook is not. It's pretty bleak right now with what's left on your schedule and to try to be successful. And luckily, to that point, that it is a odd recruiting year where there's only 13 spots available. Nebraska just got a commitment from a local guy. They lost a commitment Monday from a defensive end from Florida. Hayden Schwartz, but they did gain a commitment from Millard South, Omaha here, out of Omaha, Gage Stinger, who was committed to Kansas State and got an offer from Nebraska last Friday and said, okay, he's always wanted to be a Husker. So, you lose one, you gain one, and Stinger's a good player. Like I said, he was committed to K-State, and we'll see. They like him as a linebacker, but he also plays quarterback right now at Millard South, and Nebraska told him that they're not leaving quarterback out of that equation. So great player. He's only ranked a 2-star right now, but one of those homegrown guys that you want to get on your roster. You don't want to let one of those guys get away because when you let those guys get away, people get pissed, and they always bring that up. So, but my point is, recruiting year this year is kind of strange, with only 13 guys available, and we've mentioned earlier in past shows that Nebraska's going to probably bring in 5 or 6 guys out of the transfer portal, experienced guys in with this class. So it's going to equal itself out at one point. But, with Scott Frost, his future kind of up in the air. It's hard to say right now what recruits want, but I can tell you I've met a lot of these guys that are committed that are in this class, and pretty much 100% of these guys are committed to Nebraska and not just the coach or the coaching staff. Because there is a special thing about Nebraska where academic development, the academic help that they give players here is unmatched in a top notch, football program setting. And guys, most guys do commit for coaches and stuff, but my point is that a lot of these guys I would see sticking with their commitment no matter what happens, and it makes it sound like I'm thinking that Scott Frost is actually on the chopping block to get fired this year. He's not. Seriously, he's not. But there's going to be serious changes involved in his coaching staff, and then he gets another year, and then we kind of go from there.
Got our guy Ben Jackson asking online, what position is Gage Stenger being recruited for?
Yeah, we just said that. Yeah,
and he might be a quarterback. Okay,
right. No, yeah. I mean, they're calling him a linebacker right now, but they're leaving quarterback open because he is playing quarterback at Millard South. And I mean, this guy's a he's a 5-tool baseball player. If he was playing baseball, he can do everything. Last year, just as a point, he was holding for the kicker, and they run a fake as him as the holder, and he drops back and throws touchdown pass. Played wide receiver last year because Miller South had a really good quarterback anyway, and he was playing wide receiver last year, and he's making spectacular catches, and he's a headhunter on defense. He plays like the way I used to play. I mean, I'm not trying to prop myself up, but I mean, I love it, the way he plays at linebacker. But he's got his choice pretty much. If they need him at quarterback, he'll be a quarterback. Or I see him as a linebacker or a safety though down the road.
You'd be looking for the big hit.
Yeah. I mean, he's a JoJo Doman type guy. I mean, yeah, he loves to light people up.
All right. Tell us about your trip to Reno in terms of
awesome.
Awesome trip, but give us some football too.
Well, yeah, I mean, went out there to see Ashton Hayes, the running back commit at a Reno McQueen High School. Going into the night, McQueen was 6-0. Leading their division out there, and Ashton had been through 6 games, averaging 171.3 yards per game rushing, 16 touchdowns going into it. Senior night there at McQueen, beautiful setting. Mountains all around you. I mean, you couldn't get anything better. Burgers on the grill, smoke coming up from the grills. Houses, on top, right above the field. Beautiful setting. Like I said, senior night. They played Reno High School, and Reno came in there and beat them 14-6. Ashton was held to 79 yards on the ground on 14 carries. He did have a 39-yard touchdown run and showed his stuff there, but their team was outmatched. Their team, well, they weren't outmatched. I don't want to say they were outmatched, but the offensive line didn't play very good. I kind of mentioned to the head coach, it kind of looked like Nebraska. There was a lot of mistakes, and but it had their chances and stuff. But great trip. My first time I've ever been to Reno, Nevada, and I'm still kicking myself. I should have stayed an extra day. Had a great time, and everybody was so nice. The AD to the assistant principal to the head coach and Ashton and everybody. Great time. And he's so excited to come to Nebraska and play in front of 90,000 people. And it was all around. It was a great trip. It was too short. For, like I said, everybody, my boss even tried to tell me that I should stay an extra day, but I didn't believe him. But kicking myself right now. But it was great. I put the feature out today interview feature and all the highlights from the game and stuff. Even though he did have a subpar game for for him, but you know what? Right now he does still have 1,170 some yards right now through 7 games on the year. So he's been putting up video game type stats, and unfortunately, I think it's the Husker Online curse. Every time I go somewhere, I mean, I went to San Antonio to see Richard Torres, and they lose, and he gets hurt out for the year. And luckily, Ashton did not get hurt, but they did lose. But all in all, great trip. Very happy to have seen Reno.
Well, let's not let that get out, the Husker Online curse, because you're not going to get invited anywhere then.
Well, we don't get invited. We just pick and choose where we're going to go. So maybe I shouldn't go anywhere.
They're not going to be so nice when you get there.
Yeah, really. I heard about you.
Oh boy! So we got a bye week, and hopefully the players can kind of detach a little bit. I don't know what their typical schedule is. I would think that they got a couple days off after the game.
Well, yeah, actually, school was not in session Monday or Tuesday this week, so they automatically did have some time off, and that's why tomorrow morning's practice is the first practice of the week for them, and it's going to be a short one, walkthrough wise. So, yeah, I don't know what it was, fall break or whatever they have, but yeah, they didn't have school for the last 2 days, so things are kind of dead down there, and I expect that they'll kind of get back into things more on Thursday and start working on Purdue a little bit, and start banging heads a little bit, and get back into football type stuff after a few days off.
We appreciate everybody being here. We would love to see this show blow up so we can do it each and every week here for Husker Nation. So please continue to bring some friends and family, whomever you know that loves college football, not just Nebraska fans, obviously Nebraska fans first and foremost, but any college football fans that you know, bring them on in here every Tuesday night at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Here at the Voice of College Football, we got Greg, of course, here from Husker Online's made it 39 consecutive shows. Do you know anything about this, Greg? What Dan is talking about here? He says, it just kills me that PJ Fleck is a better coach than Frost, and that stunt about recruiting Martinez openly at the end of the game was just clueless, presumptuous, yes, but more than likely.
I really don't, because, I was traveling, I was back. And I mean, I hate to admit it. I didn't even listen to Coach Frost's comments after the game. But I mean, PJ Fleck's got Scott Frost's number. I'll tell you that. And I think that has something to do with recruiting Adrian Martinez. He must have been trying to recruit Adrian at the same time. That's all I can kind of speculate.
Here we go, Greg. Listen to this.
I don't know.
Following the Nebraska-Minnesota game, PJ Fleck and Adrian Martinez shared an embrace on the field, a moment that went viral between the Gophers head coach and Huskers quarterback. Nobody knew what the conversation consisted of, but the two competitors received plenty of praise. Now, thanks to the Big Ten Network's crew, cameras, mics, we know what was said. Microphone was able to pick up Fleck's message to Martinez following.
Want some coming next year, then.
He had nothing but positive things to say to the senior leader. Okay, I watch guys. I'm a fan of everybody. You know what I mean. I watch kids play well, Fleck said to Martinez. I'm really proud of how good you've gotten. That's what he said.
Trying to recruit him to come to Minnesota next year is what I'm reading from this. You know what? I don't. Why would Adrian Martinez go to Minnesota next year? That makes no sense to me at all. For such a mature young man and a guy that's he wears that N proudly on his shoulder, on his forehead, everywhere. That would be bizarre, and especially because of the heat that he's been able to handle. week in and week out, no matter if they win or they lose. I mean, this guy is there at the forefront and answering questions. I mean, like he's been doing this for 30 years, for goodness sake. And I mean, that's just PJ Fleck doing his thing. In my mind, is like, hey, Tanner Morgan's gone, and I don't really have a viable backup. And right now, things are not looking good at Nebraska. And I'm giving you an opportunity to come to Minnesota and increase your draft stock. If you're not thinking that you want to go into the NFL draft this year or not. That's PJ Fleck being his used car salesman spiel that he does, and he's very good at. That's my read on this whole situation.
Yeah, I don't know what to read into that myself. I tend to think I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt unless I know. Matthew Braz says I think Fleck was just being nice, no drama needed.
And I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. That I mean, yeah, if other people are trying to make something out of it or not, that was my read that I just gave you. But that would be my first and foremost thought is that PJ Fleck has played against Adrian Martinez, 4 years now? And, Adrian Martinez is a pretty impressive guy. And a lot of, excuse me, a little burp there. But a lot of head coaches will tell Adrian that because a lot of head coaches that they know that their team hasn't played against a quarterback like him, and he's actually a pretty special guy. When he's got it going, he's got it going.
Well, that's what Star Trek Elysium's telling us, that Pat Fitzgerald was picked up saying the same thing after the game.
Absolutely. Pat Fitzgerald can't wait for Adrian Martinez to get the hell out of Nebraska.
All right, folks. Of course, most of what's been talked about is concerning Scott Frost. So you're pretty much on record, Greg, as saying Scott Frost is going to survive the season. He's going to be the coach in 2022, but there are going to be other coaching staff changes for sure.
Has to be right now, because that's the way things work in this business. You got a head coach on a contract that has an enormous buyout, and the assistant coaches are the guys on the chopping block when things aren't going well, until things are completely exhausted. And you know what? We've seen this now here consistently at Nebraska. Starting with Frank Solich, going to Bo Pelini. I always forget Bill Callahan. Sorry, going from Frank Solich to Bill Callahan to Bo Pelini, and then to Mike Riley, and then to Scott Frost, and you think you got your guy. So obviously, the rope's going to be a little bit longer for that guy that is supposed to be your savior and fix things after 4 head coaching changes. So the pressure. I mean, Trev Alberts is not messing around. I think it's pretty clear right now that things need to change, and we're gonna do it with your staff, and you get another year, and then we're gonna start talking about things when contract time is up.
All right, folks. You heard it from Greg here in regards to Scott Frost and whether he's going to be around next season.
That's just a hard decision that's just a hard trigger to pull, with what you have in place and everything, and that blows up recruiting, like some of the people have said. You know what? Maybe this would be the year to do it when it is a very low recruiting class, but then it still hurts you in the long run with what you're trying to add from the transfer portal and all that. But I think you have too many things in place right now to make that kind of a move, especially with the new facilities being built. I mean, if people watch our our stinking press conference videos during the week, during Tuesdays and Thursdays that are there inside Memorial Stadium, and you got the whole construction noise going on right behind you with the beep 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 and all the jackhammers and everything. And so there's a lot going on in Nebraska, but you just need to translate it onto the field. And boy, they just took a big step back last week, and that's kind of the hardest pill to swallow about this whole thing right now.
Yeah, so this is what's difficult for me to decide if I was in Trev Albert's shoes, is that 4 consecutive losing seasons is not acceptable, and the record's not getting better, and it's been stated many times. What is a coach? He's whatever his record says. But that's not the full story. That's obviously, those are the results on the scoreboard. By the measurement of the weight and conditioning, how much better condition the team is, and what Scott Frost had to take over when it comes to that part of it in particular, and then just rooting out the guys that were not a good fit for the program and not contributing and not buying in, and trying to change all that. And again, I don't think anyone that really knows football and knows this program and can see the athletes on the field would make a comparison between what they're seeing today versus what they saw 4 years ago in regards to the athletes on the field and how good they are. And then if you take that and you take the performance on the field, shoot, the results have been losses, but the results have been close losses.
One score games.
For really good teams.
Yeah.
So,
well, the biggest thing is that people need to realize that this is still a super, super young team. They're trying to learn how to win. All the old guys on this team are all super seniors, okay? These are all guys that chose to come back for an extra year because they got granted an extra year because of COVID-19. So you're dealing with a very, very young roster right now that is not getting blown out of games, not getting embarrassed, and are right there, right to the end of all of these games. So, yeah, patience is one of those things that, fans don't like to hear that. Nobody likes to hear that. But, yeah, be patient because things do look better. One game here last week, you take a step backwards. Now it's time to take 2 steps forward after this. Learn from that and get pissed off and go, knock Purdue out of the country in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to try to make any kind of prediction. Well, I'm going to eventually, but in terms of tabbing that game as a predictable game, it's not, because Purdue's not good enough that you can look at them and say what they did at Iowa, they do every week. They don't do that every week. That's their high water mark. They're a good team. They played Notre Dame close.
Yeah.
It was still a really close game halfway through the fourth quarter. They beat a decent Oregon State team. They played a really tight one against Minnesota. That was a 1-score game down to the final couple minutes of play. All of that. So they're a good team.
And they caught Iowa at a good time.
Yeah.
What else can you say?
So I would not be surprised who wins that game between Purdue and Nebraska.
It's a complete toss-up. Yeah. And I'm happy to know that is it's a 2:30 game here. Finally, I don't have to go at 11 a.m. that next Saturday. Woohoo!
But they do have to start turning the corner, and the margin of error is so close because nobody in the world thinks that they would lose to Illinois if they played again. So they're better than Illinois. And then just one of these other games, whether it's Oklahoma, Michigan State, Michigan, Minnesota, all these 1-score games, if they could have won just one of those, then they're sitting here right now. We're talking about a 5-3 football team, and everybody's fine with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a fine line. People fans are going to be fans. Nothing's ever going to be good enough. And I don't know. It's just kind of hard to analyze. And being on that end of people always asking you the questions about it, it's a hard thing to try to answer.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking, I keep staring at Kyle's question there that we've talked about several times, Kyle, about, Nebraska's ranked 14th out of 14th because there's nobody in this class. There's 13 spots available. Nebraska is not going to have the numbers. They're going to compete with anybody in any recruiting rankings this season. And that's just the way it is because of the way the roster is filled out right now. So, we've mentioned a couple times already tonight that, Nebraska's going to probably take 5 or 6 guys out of the transfer portal. So that will bolster, the 13 spots for high school players right now. So, there's there's several things to look at when you can kind of see those recruiting rankings this year because it's very, very it's skewed this year because of the whole COVID thing and all the super seniors that were stuck on teams this year.
But forget the recruiting ranking for the entire class. I wonder how that translates the average player rating, though. I wonder how decent the class is.
Well,
I don't expect you to have that answer.
Right there, because there are no higher than a 3-star in Nebraska's class right now. And, take that as you may. 3 stars are the backbone of your team. And, they're taking guys that they know that can fill needs that they need. So it's not like you're trying to go after those flashy 4-star guys or 5-star guys right now because you're filling holes in a very odd recruiting cycle that nobody ever imagined that would be happening like this.
Well, here's a comparison I just made. So this isn't your site, but this was just easier for me to look up. So if we looked at the average rating for Nebraska for a class that's last in the Big Ten for 2022, 76th in the country, I compared that to Purdue, who's 38th in the country, 7th in the Big Ten, so exactly average. But Nebraska has a slightly better average player rating per player than Purdue does.
It's all about needs too, Mark. I mean, you're
well, yeah. This doesn't tell us everything.
You don't recruit guys. I mean, that's what the whole thing. I mean, I work in the business where we rank guys. We give them the star rankings, but recruiting is not all about your star ranking. It's all about guys that can play football. The diamonds in the rough are the guys that make recruiting classes. Things that don't come up on paper where, hey, we had whatever ranked recruiting class. There's some of those guys there that nobody ever heard of, nobody gave a chance to, that all of a sudden end up being your star and they end up in the NFL. It's a weird thing, and every year it's a little bit different, and depending on your class and your needs.
Yeah, so I will balance out what I said a few minutes ago about the improvement in the program and the close losses too. I've said this a number of times recently. The more the losses mount, at some point they got to win the games. So, Scott Frost is only 15-25 after 40 games.
Yeah, that's not a good record, and you know what? That gets you fired at a lot of places. At most places, that probably gets you fired at the end of this year. We've talked about it. Trev Alberts he's got some decisions to make, but I think financially there's only one decision to make right now, and that's you bring him back. So, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not the one being paid all those millions of dollars to make those decisions.
Kyle McGrew's got an interesting question because there was all excitement about Tyreek Johnson being signed from Ohio State as a 5-star, former 5-star.
Yeah. I was wondering that myself, Kyle. I was cutting through some video, and from last week's game, and I noticed Tyreek there right there. I shot some pregame video of him, and I was wondering. I'm like, what happened? Why has Tyreek not gotten a chance? The only thing I can tell you is that Quentin Newsom locked down that job as that the opposite corner than Cam Taylor Britt, and basically has outplayed Tyreek in practice, and it's kind of strange because Tyreek's name doesn't even get brought up much anymore for a guy that was competing for a starting job when he came here, and was a little bit hobbled when we saw him in spring ball, and just never really has become a factor since fall camp started, and now through 8 games of the year, we still don't even we haven't heard his name called at all. So yeah, it's a mystery. I don't know. Maybe there's something to it that why didn't he play much at Ohio State? Maybe he was a guy that was overrated coming out of high school. Just throwing that out there. I'm not put that on any of the analysts that rate these guys, which I used to be at one point in my career. I was one of those guys that was rating them for Rivals.com. So he looks like a dude. That's all I can tell you.
Here's a name I haven't heard in a long, long time, and Matthew brings it up right there. Marlon Lucky was one of the highest recruits in Nebraska history.
North Hollywood High School, baby. Go back and look at my video of that dude. I got a great soundtrack to him. Marlon Lucky. Oh, man. Yeah, he's still around here. He does a lot of charity work and some kind of health. He's in the health industry, I think. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, Marlon was a great dude. Great dude. Was an Army All-American. But yeah, he was a very successful back here. But he was at the time he was the highest ranked running back Nebraska had ever recruited, and kind of fell short for expectations when he was here, but still had a very productive career. One of those guys that kind of fell into that lineage of Nebraska running backs, NFL type guys, but never did make the NFL. But great guy, great dude, good player. Would like to see him. Would like to hang out with him. Have an adult cocktail with him here one of these days.
Marlon Lucky had a 1,000-yard season in 2007.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He had a really nice season. 1,000 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns, caught 75 passes, 3 touchdowns, 12 touchdowns, almost 1,800 yards from scrimmage.
He had some good, the 2000 season was a pretty special season, too. I mean, yeah, a Nebraska team that was right up there at the top of the Big 12 that year, and a lot of fun, a lot of highlights from that season, and Marlon was a big part of it.
All right, folks. Of course, it's a bye week with the Huskers, with Purdue coming up at home, and as Greg mentioned, that's a 2:30 kickoff local time.
And it's nice you don't have to get up so early and go down to the stadium and be there by 8 a.m. It's always a plus.
Thank you, Cheryl. Reminding everyone to please subscribe to the channel right here at the Voice of College Football. We've got channels. Here's the roll call right here. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa in the Big 10. Oklahoma, Texas in the Big 12. Oregon, USC in the Pac-12. Alabama, Texas A&M, LSU, Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia in the SEC.
A good-looking puppy.
Miami, Florida State, Clemson, Virginia Tech in the ACC, and Notre Dame. So please subscribe to our channels, whichever one you like. Or if you don't care about any of those teams, but you want to help us build these channels, grab one that needs to get to 1,000.
Oh, wow. Now I can see this. That's pretty cool.
All right. I think we've done enough damage here.
You know what?
What's that, Greg?
How many shows have we done? 39?
39.
Okay, now I just now figured out how to see the comments from users besides what you put up on the screen.
Yeah, you can look at your own comments there.
Wow, I'd never even know that. My boy Mike Fetty chiming in there. That's my guy. Wow. Okay, well, we have a new new
Yeah,
interaction.
you'll be able to bark out some commands for me.
I can actually answer questions I want to answer, right?
You can answer whatever you want. You don't have to listen to me. Yeah, you can say, Mark, what's your problem? Post this question over here.
Now I feel
absolutely
stupid. Now I feel stupid, like I'm like tech not savvy.
Well, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Well, all right. I like it.
All right, folks. Appreciate you all being here. And again, every Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, bring some other folks in here, help us build the show here with Greg, and show some appreciation. We do have the Super Chat available, also Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App at MarkRogersTV.
We'll definitely have more next week, obviously, when we get back into game week. So we'll see what happens tomorrow with Scott Frost in front of us bright and early in the morning, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yes, I will have to give that a look myself. All right.
And you can see that on Husker Online video on YouTube.
Okay.
I'll have that posted right away, right after it's over.
Okay. That's where we're going to check it out, everyone. Husker Online, right here on YouTube.
Yep.
Perfect.
Or HuskerOnline.com.
Either one. Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Okay.
It's all over the place.
Excellent. All right, everyone. Bring it on back here next Tuesday night. We'll preview the Purdue game and hopefully happier talk from there on throughout the rest of the season, and hopefully a bowl game.
Please.
For all of you. All right, Greg, I appreciate it. I hope everyone else does as well.
Hey, as always, I always enjoy my time here every Tuesday night. Enjoy spending an hour with all those Husker fans and all the other college football fans out there.